Hey, Up Church, how you doing? This is Dr. DeRar R. Pulley, and I'm giving a shout out to Up Church, to Reverend Sherri James, to Reverend Sheree Thompson. I am so excited about what's coming up in January of 2022. Yes, the weekend of January the 28th, the 29th, and the 30th. That's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm coming back for our annual Leadership Weekend. Every year, God blesses us and manifests God's presence in a phenomenal way, and it's not going to be any different. In fact, it's going to be greater this year. So I'm inviting all the leaders. I'm calling all board members, all teachers, all leaders, those interested in being a part of the leadership team of Up Church to be a part of this Leadership Weekend. Reserve it on your calendar. That's January the 28th, the 29th, and the 30th of 2022. Be excited because I am.
You gotta dig a little deeper. All right now. Yeah, here we go. Don't matter what you look like. Don't matter what you wear. How many rings you got on your finger. We don't care. We don't care. Don't matter where you come from. It don't even matter where you are. A dog, a pig, a cow, a goat. Got them all in here. And they all knew what they wanted. What they wanted me to do. I told them what they needed, just like I'll be telling you. You gotta dig a little deeper, find out who you are. You gotta dig a little deeper, it really ain't that far. When you find out who you are, you find out what you need. Blue skies and sunshine, guaranteed. You gotta dig, yeah. You gotta dig, yeah. Prince Froggy was a rich little boy, wanna be rich again. That ain't gonna make you happy now. Did it make you happy then? No. 'Cause money ain't got no soul, money ain't got no heart. All you need is some self-control. Make yourself a brand new start. You gotta dig a little deeper. You don't have far to go. You gotta dig a little deeper. Tell the people Kayla told you so. Can't tell where you're going for. Find out what you need. Blue skies and sunshine is guaranteed. Hey, Miss Froggy, might I have a word? Well, use the hard one. That's what I heard. Your daddy was a loving man, family through and through. You, your daddy's daughter. What he had in him, you got in you. You gotta dig a little deeper. For you, it's gonna be tough. You gotta dig a little deeper. You ain't dug near far enough. It's when you find out who you are, you find out what you need. Blue skies and sunshine is guaranteed. All right, now open up the windows. Let the light in, children. Hey! Blue skies and sunshine. Blue skies and sunshine. Blue skies and sunshine. It's guaranteed. Yeah, yeah. You gotta dig a little deeper. Find out who you are. Do you know who you are? Do you look in the mirror and know yourself as the Spirit of God in expression? Is that the case? Because if you dig a little deeper, you're going to find out what is really true about you. Welcome. Welcome to our virtual service for Understanding Principles for Better Living Church. I'm Reverend Sherri James of this amazing, growing global community of spiritual giants. And I'm really excited that you are here because I recognize that with all of the distractions that are happening in our world, there's so many things that are pulling on our attention 24/7. We live in at least as far as the physical world is concerned, in a world of mass distraction. And so for you to make the choice to be here with us, to feed your soul, to serve the growth of your soul,
I thank you for that. And I recognize what a privilege it is for you to choose us. So thank you. And I do want to tell you that you're in the right place at the right time for the right message. So a couple of housekeeping things. If you're watching us on YouTube, let me encourage you to go ahead, hit subscribe, and right next to the subscribe button is a little bell that if you click it, it will notify you or give you some type of alert when we release new content. And also, we appreciate the live chat. I always love going back and forth with you during the service, but what I ask more than anything is, would you also leave us a comment on this video, because that also shows engagement and helps us help other people find out about UPCHURCH. If you're watching on Facebook, I ask for the same grace. Would you please like our page, set yourself up to receive notifications, and also leave us a comment and hit that share button and tell somebody about us. I'm really glad that you're here. I'm glad that you're participating in this series that we have going on, Conquering the 7 Deadly Sins. Let's take a moment to open today's service in prayer. Would you pray with me? Father, Mother God, we thank you for a powerful, transformational service. We thank you for just the opportunity to come together this way and to worship you. We know that the church is not where we pray, but it is we who pray. It is not where we worship. It is who we are, we that worship. And so right now, we touch heart to heart, connecting with one another in spirit, recognizing that where 2 or more are gathered, there you are in the midst. And so we have the ability right where we are to stir up this energy, to connect with one another in this virtual way and realize the presence and the power of God within us. We thank you, Spirit, because we know that this season where we are outside of a building is building a consciousness of oneness within us. That if we can master being one with one another in a virtual space, that once we are in our building, we become a force of nature. We move like the wind, unobstructed by anything. We become like water to any obstacle. So I thank you for this season, Spirit. I thank you. I thank you for what it's building inside of us. I don't look at this challenge as something bad. I look at this challenge as an opportunity to build and strengthen our spiritual muscle. I thank you, Spirit, that even right where we are, there is the opportunity to grow and to stretch. And I thank you, God, that you are fulfilling the needs of the people in our community, that you're making sure that they have what they need this holiday season, but always. If food is the need, that's being provided. If money is the need, that's being provided. If companionship is the need, that's being provided. If just peace of mind is the need, that's being provided. Thank you. Thank you. Let this service be a mirror to our people that reflects to them how amazing they are. Thank you, Spirit. And I just surround those in a loving embrace that may be hurting right now. Sometimes the holiday seasons can be really tough. And I pray for peace of mind for anyone who may be grieving this holiday season. I pray for health and vitality for anyone that may be hurting or going through some type of challenge. And I pray for prosperity for those who may be hurting financially. I thank you, Spirit, for utilizing this service to remind each person right where they are that all of God is within them and for them and behind them and above them and beside them, that they are encased in perfect love. That is my prayer for now and for always. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. In the name and in the nature and the consciousness of I am, I affirm that this prayer is so, and so it is. I always think that it is important for you to understand our vision and our mission, and really our core values too, but we concentrate on the vision and the mission. Maybe that's a change I'll make in 2022, is to really dial in on these core values. Let me tell you why this is important. It is important that you know where you are and that you know who you are with. Our lives are the sum of the 5 people, 5 entities, 5 organizations that we spend the most time with. And so as you're spending time with us, I want you to understand what we stand for. I want you to understand what we're about, because I want your yes to what we're doing to be a conscious yes. I want your yes to where we are going to be a conscious yes. I want your yes to what we are building to be a conscious yes. And this is why in each service, I do a new video each time. It's not the same video every time we reshoot it, but say the same thing in different ways so that you're hearing it fresh. Our vision is to love every person up to their true identity and to their highest potential for the greater good of all. We say that not just for how we're trying to show up, but we don't want just this to be an inward facing thing. It's an outward facing thing. We're asking you to adopt this vision in your experience. We're asking you to adopt these values in your experience. That collectively who we are is that we're loving people up to their highest identity, their true identity, and to their highest potential for the greater good of all. Collectively, we're doing that. This is not just what a single organization is doing or a minister is doing. This is what we are all doing. And then our mission is that we are on a mission. We are on purpose to spread God's divine love through teaching spiritual principles, worship services, fellowship activities, and community outreach. And our theme this year, I ought to be able to say, if we were in church, I wouldn't even say it. I would just let you give it to me, but I think you know it. And that is to open your mind. Open your mind. Open your mind from where you are to where God wants to take you. Whatever you think is your highest vision for your life, I'm here to tell you that God desires for you to have something even bigger. Isn't that amazing? And so in order to stretch, in order to be, do, and have all that we are capable of be, doing, and having, we got to start right here and stretch. Open this mind. Open this mind wider. Open this mind further. And so we're in this series. I'm so excited about this series. I'm so glad that you're a part of it. We are conquering the 7 deadly sins, and I have a powerhouse for you today. She is going to be talking about the sin of laziness, or in biblical languages, sloth. That's such a harsh word, sloth. She is going to be talking to you about that. This is the Reverend Lola Wright. And her sermon title is We Are Asleep and We Can Wake Up. Now, y'all know how she bring the fire, so I'm telling you now, get your notes, get your pad and pen, and let's get ready to dive in and learn. And of course, we always like to take a moment to become good soil. So let's quiet ourselves for just a moment so that we may hear with fresh ears what the Spirit has to say to us through Reverend Lola. Let's take a moment to come apart. This is our opportunity to rest in spirit. This is a moment for us to quiet ourselves and to make ourselves good soil. We can come apart from all of the things that are pulling on us in life, and we can simply be. So right where you're sitting, just take a moment to take a deep, cleansing breath. And recognize that you are loved, you are cared for, you are divinely provided for. Rest in the awareness that nothing can interfere with the calm peace of your soul. Right where you are is the power and the presence that is God. And it is breathing itself as you. In this space of quiet, you feel relaxed, peaceful, grateful. This feeling of gratitude permeates your entire being from head to toe. The awareness that you have all that you need deepens in you right now. The more you think about or feel about the good that surrounds you, the calmer your spirit becomes. You recognize that you are beautifully one with all there is. Thank you, Spirit. Thank you, Spirit. As we bring this moment of quiet to a close, we simply give thanks. Thank you. And so it is.
Hello, UPCHURCH. I'm Reverend Sheree, and I'm so excited to be with you today. I hope you had a beautiful Thanksgiving, that you were able to spend it in love, loving yourself, loving those around you, maybe even loving some yummy food. I hope you enjoyed yourself. I hope you experienced deep levels of gratitude. Such a beautiful opportunity to be in the space of gratitude. And if you didn't get your fill, it's not too late to be grateful. I'm really here, right? So I'm really here because I have really one mission right now. And that's to make sure that each and every one of you feel the love of this ministry. I'm here to open up my arms to those of you who may be coming to Up Church for the first time. Maybe you've come a few times. I want you to know how important you are to our ministry. You're proof that as we continue to grow spiritually, we create a space for others to do so. And so I'm grateful that you found us. And I want you to know that this is a beautiful place to plant and grow. We really do believe and support your spiritual growth. That's what we're all about, loving you up to your true potential. And so with that in mind, I want to encourage you to take that first step. If you feel like you hear something today that you want to, I want to get involved here. I want to actually become a member here. Take that first step and just let us know. We want to know that you're interested so that we can let you know the process and make sure you understand what we teach and what we're about and go through our process. It's really, really simple because your yes cracks open the door and everything after that comes with ease. So I invite you to email us at upchurch@upchurch.org, or you can call the church office and we'll make sure that we connect with you and let you know what's next. So in this spiritual community, I said that this is a beautiful place to plant and grow spiritually. I want you to know, and I'm hearing just Spirit telling me to talk to somebody who's been here a lot, who may not have made that commitment to plant and grow spiritually. I want you to think about the way that you are moving through your life right now, how much more charged you can be when you say wholeheartedly, yes, God, I give myself over to your divine will. We teach you how to do that here at Up Church. And so some of you have been sitting on the fence, not quite sure whether or not you want to, do I want to commit to a church? Maybe you got some churchy bad things in your past. I want to invite you to let that go. This is the month of release, to let go of the experiences that you've had before and make a new thing here at Up Church. So again, just email us at upchurch@upchurch.org and we'll guide you through the process. And I want you to know who you're worshiping with. There are many of our friends and family out here who know what I'm getting ready to ask them to do. So I want you to go ahead and get ready. But for those of you who are like, okay, what's this getting to know you thing that she's getting ready to talk about? This is where we introduce ourselves to one another by affirming our spiritual name. We use our spiritual name because it is just really who we are. And so I want to invite you to take your I am and put it next to a quality of God. I am plus a quality of God, that's your spiritual name. And so I will go first. I am courage. What's your spiritual name? I am courage. Speak your spiritual name, type it into the chat, write it into the comments, but make sure that you be a part of this exchange. There's a good, a love, a joy exchange happening right now as we introduce ourselves. And so I want you to take part in that. It's a beautiful time to do that. And so I'm going to turn the service over right now because it's time for our daily inspiration for better living. And so this is our daily publication that is published by the Universal Foundation for Better Living, UFBL, and we sell them at the church, or you can purchase them directly from ufbl.org. But it's important that you get your daily inspiration. It's important that you create and sustain and maintain and grow a daily spiritual practice. And so the DI is a great way to get started with that. So with that being said, let's hear for today's DI. Enjoy.
Hi, Up family. Today I will be reading the daily inspiration for Sunday, November 28th, 2021. Move into action. Things don't always have to be perfect for you to move forward. People don't always have to be 100% ready to move. Places don't always seem to be available to enable you to move. But once you have decided it is time to move, a way is made. The people appear and the conditions align for your upward progress. Try this. Decide right now to get a particular type, make, and model vehicle. You will notice that as you go about your day, you will begin to see more of that vehicle on the road. That happens because you are interested in it and are now more aware of its presence. The vehicle was always available and around, but you were oblivious to it because you had no desire for it. Use the same principle for all of your goals. Be clear about your desire and accept it for yourself. See it often in your mind's eye. Watch as people, situations, and conditions line up to support your intention. Listen for your instructions and then act. Move. Why are you afraid? You have little faith? Matthew 8:26.
Thank you for those powerful words. It's time now for us to actually speak the word of power. It's our affirmation of power time. And so we've been working with the same affirmation throughout the month as we've been moving through this sermon series, Conquering the 7 Deadly Sins. And so this is our last Sunday that we'll be speaking this affirmation together. So I want you to really put your all into it. Stand to your feet if you can and speak this affirmation out loud. We're going to do it together. Okay, so let's affirm. God gave me mastery, authority, and dominion over my thoughts and feelings. I am a conqueror. So I release lusting after what cannot satisfy me and say yes to my divine assignment. I let self-discipline defeat gluttonous appetites. There is more than enough, so I am generous, not greedy. I have a renewed purpose and I release laziness and inactivity. I am patient and slow to anger. My heart is filled with gratitude, so I have no room for envy. I am one with God and all people, so I let go of boastful pride that separates me. With the power of God in me, I conquer sin. I am a conqueror. And so it is. And so it is. So I want you to continue with this spirit of release, that there is such beauty in letting go of what no longer serves you. Even when what no longer serves you is your comfort zone. Even what no longer serves you are the habits that have got you through things. I want you to know that if it's not serving you now, it just may be time to release it. So get with us as we continue this releasing process throughout the rest of this sermon series. I feel the energy. I feel the breakthroughs happening right now. And so I want to encourage you to stick with it. It can be difficult to look at yourself and to say, I don't want to be the way I am anymore. But you have it in you to do this. The real you wants to emerge. Allow it to happen. Allow it to happen. Let it be. I know you can do it. I love you. I bless you. And I'm so grateful and I appreciate you. God bless.
Thank you, Reverend Sheree. Okay. I get the privilege of introducing to you our next speaker. But before I do that, I want to bring up two things that I want you to look out for. The first is that we have a letter that is going out, that has gone out to you, and it's a hard letter. It's coming through the U.S. mail to all of our members to let you know about some important dates that are coming up for 2021, the end of the year and the early part of 2022. So these are some things to help you mark your calendars, to plan your activities with UPCHURCH as we move through this holiday season and into 2022. And then I want to encourage you that if you are joining us for Ministry Development Weekend, and especially if you are coming from our global community, we will be putting out the RSVP link, and we need to hear from you so that we know how many people to plan for, and that we can work on or provide proper accommodations. So very excited for you guys to just be a part of this, to come learn with us and grow with us. This is an all church event, our global community, as well as our community that is based here in Southern California. We're all coming together for this Ministry Development Weekend with the Bishop Reverend Dr. Darrell R. Pulley, January 28th, 29th, and 30th. So I'm encouraging you to go ahead, book your tickets. We'll have details on a lodging or accommodations coming forth in the next really 7 to 10 days so that you'll have that information as well. All right. I am so excited for you guys to hear from Reverend Lola again. She oh my God, brought the house down. Well, I guess the virtual house, the last time that she was here. And we love and appreciate her. What I adore about her is her heart for social justice. There are so many things in this world that deserve our attention. And I love when someone's heart catches fire for the things of God that make us create a world that works for everyone. And this is the kind of work that she does. And I'm so proud to know her, so proud to call her my sister. All right, the official bio. Lola Wright is Chicago born and built with a deep appreciation and understanding for all of the city's complexities. Lola grew up in a wealth and privilege of private schools, country clubs, and manicured neighborhoods. Yet she always sensed something was missing. She sought out aliveness and freedom in music, immersing herself in the hip hop and house music scenes of 90s Chicago. Then at 18, a pregnancy. By 22, the mother of 2 young children and living in a volatile and insecure environment. A year later, she was on her own, determined to create a new experience. An ordained minister with a gift for weaving together the mystical and material. She served for many years as the CEO of Bodhi Center, an organization committed to personal transformation, collective awakening, conscious activism, and community building. Her work has taken her to stages around the world as a speaker and vocalist, including the Agape International Spiritual Center, TEDx, Chicago Ideas, Harvard Divinity School, and Havana Jazz Festival. Lola's path has included stops at some of the world's leading global financial institutions and technology startups, training in several well-respected coaching methodologies, and experience as an entrepreneur, all culminating in her desire to challenge people to live fully alive. Lola loves nothing more than created unexpected encounters that shake up what you thought you knew. This includes more than 300 live events since 2014, including a sold-out monthly experience that brought together some of the country's most prolific artists and thinkers, and thousands of hours consulting with coaching teams and individuals in their pursuit of something greater. Today, Lola connects through coaching, events, and community with people seeking increased aliveness. Among her most impactful opportunities are a membership community that invites participants to unleash their unique purpose, and her highly rated podcast, Our Circle. She is raising 4 creative, brilliant children with a partner who is always willing to ask, what more do we want to create? Family, I'm going to pass it to our worship team and let you hear one of our original UPCHURCH songs. And then the next voice you hear will be my sister, the Reverend Lola Wright.
We're walking in our purpose. Anything we're led to do, He will shine right through us. As we need Him, He needs us. God is living in and through me. I'm essential to His plan. It's my joy to do all I can, and through it all, I am God's feet and hands. He needs us. I surrender to His will. He needs us. I let go and just be still. He needs us. Taking action from my heart. to be fearful. Trusting God is simple. Anything we're led to do, He will shine right through us. 'Cause we need Him, He needs us. Just one step can change your whole life. Something happens when you know the cry. There's a purpose in all you've been through, and through it all, God still needs you. He needs us. I'll surrender to His will. He needs us. I'll let go and just be still. He needs us. Taking action from my heart. It's a joy to do my part. He needs us. I'll surrender to His will. Yeah. He needs us. I let go and just be still. He needs us. Taking action from my heart. It's a joy to do my part. I am my Father's child. He shines right through me. The Christ unfolds as me. Yes, I will. Yes, I will. I will do my part. He needs us. I'll surrender to His will. Yeah. He needs us. I let go and just be still. Yeah. He needs us. Taking action from my heart. Yeah. It's a joy to do my part. You gotta do it. You gotta do it. Hey, He needs us.
Up Church, I am so happy to be with you. It is my deep honor and privilege to be among such greatness. My name is Lola Wright, and I am from Chicago, and I make no bones about it. See, when I was a little girl, my dad used to challenge me. He'd question my assumptions in pretty playful ways. With frequency, I would say something like, "I'm hungry." And he would respond with, "Nice to meet you, hungry. I'm Pat." When he would catch me whining or complaining, he would pretend to grab something out of his pocket and say, "Hang on just one moment. Let me pull out the tiniest violin and play you a little song," while rubbing his thumb and his index finger together. Now, what I've come to understand is that my dad was training my focus of attention. He was helping me cultivate a sense of self-awareness. He didn't want me to believe my own falsehoods, my own nonsense. He considered that a sin. We've come to really reject the word sin. But if I may, I'd like to invite you to consider the word sin anew. Consider that you pressed in to this dimension of reality with infinite potential. Your capacity to realize your extraordinary nature is limitless. The unwillingness to honor the divinity that resides within us is the sin we are called to interrogate. Consider the word sin as translated into an error in thought. To go beyond or rise above the seduction of sin or the error of thought, there's really only one primary ingredient required. And that's a willingness to be honest with oneself about oneself, not a popular practice. See, that is the essence of understanding our relationship with the 7 deadly sins. It's not something that you probably think about a lot, but it is a brilliant set of wisdom that can unlock a sense of increased aliveness and deep and profound knowing of and about yourself. See, the common truth of the human condition is that we are asleep. I love how Beatrice Chestnut says this in her brilliant book, The Complete Enneagram. She says, we exist in a kind of waking sleep. And we really do. We often and largely exist in a kind of waking sleep. See, the 7 deadly sins are an invitation into self-awareness. It really is the opportunity to become increasingly aware of our unconscious patterns that ultimately will give us full access to our truth. See, here's the thing. You are not your sins. You are not your error in thought. You are not a sinner, although that is often a popular lead line for some places and spaces. Let me set the record straight. You are not a sinner. You are a human being that is largely asleep to your unconscious patterns. Many mystical traditions would suggest that that really is the purpose of your time on earth, to awaken to the truth of who you are, to awaken to your divinity. And along the way, we create all kinds of suffering. That's what we do in this human experience. But the practice of self-awareness and the ability to understand our propensity to have an error in thought, to be disconnected from the truth of who we are, is what maintains our own suffering loop. So I guess my question for you would be, do you have a desire to shift out of a perpetual experience of suffering? Because the experience that we are in as a collective consciousness, as a species, is deeply entrenched in a kind of dualistic framework, in a kind of suffering reality. The more of us that commit ourselves to a sense of self-awareness, the less we are seduced by these 7 deadly sins. Even when we consciously choose to be in an active practice of awakening, you and I are still likely to forget. And likely the way that we forget includes the 7 deadly sins, which looks like indulgences like pride, greed, wrath, envy, lust, gluttony, and sloth. So I'm here to invite you into developing your inner witness, your ability to watch yourself. Now, the paradox here is that unless we can be at peace with our unconscious patterns as they are becoming conscious, we are forever trapped. So you cannot shift what you cannot accept. If you are in deep resistance of your sinful ways, I mean, I say that sort of tongue in cheek, but if you are in resistance to having an honest relationship with your own tendency to go unconscious, if you can't be honest with yourself about yourself, this is going to be just one more way in which you experience suffering. So the game here today is to be honest with yourself about yourself, because again, you cannot shift what you cannot accept. The extent to which I can be honest with myself about who and how I am, the patterns that are running me, it's not personal to me. See, these 7 deadly sins, you probably have 1 or 2 that you favor, but if there are only 7, and if there are nearly 8 billion people on the planet, then nearly 8 billion people on the planet are playing out one of these 7 deadly sins as sort of a repeat pattern. It's like, rewind, let's do it again. So that's what we want to become aware of. We want to cultivate the inner witness, the sense of self-awareness that can actually observe the pattern the unconscious pattern such that you can familiarize yourself with it and choose something new. B. Chestnut goes on to say, in order for us to grow and change, to develop our ability to make more conscious choices, we first need to know how we truly operate in the present. Again, just getting honest with ourselves. To become all that we can be, we must start where we are and know exactly where and who we are. One of our deepest unconscious patterns is the false belief that we already know ourselves well enough to understand why we think, feel, and act the way we do. I want to put a pin in that one. I really want to give you an asterisk on that. She says, one of our deepest unconscious patterns is the false belief that we already know ourselves well enough. See, you and I am right there with you. I really do think that I've got this figured out. I really do think that I understand myself very, very deeply. And that is not to undermine your brilliance. That is not to deny all the work and commitment and practice that you've put into your already existing understanding of self. But what it is to suggest is that the moment we think we have it handled, the moment we think we have seen it all, we are in the trance, we are in the seduction. You know, there's a sort of a famous joke. If you see someone who says they're the Buddha, kill them. In other words, if you and I start to believe our own nonsense, if we start to believe that we have arrived somewhere, we're at risk. You and I are evolutionary creatures. We're growing and expanding. We are becoming increasingly aware at deeper and deeper levels of our being as to the unconscious patterns that create our reality. So today, I want to invite you to focus on one particular unconscious pattern, and that is the pattern of the sloth. Often that particular pattern is thought of as lazy. Now, you may already be sweating, like, oh, no, I'm not lazy. I'm not lazy. I'm not the one. I'm not the one. That's fine. So just think of the laziest person you know. Just the laziest person you know, and begin to feel whatever body sensations come up as you imagine thinking of that person. You might begin to already feel a kind of nervousness or an agitation and irritability. You might already be like, oh gosh, I have such aversion and resistance to that person. I'm nothing like that person. But just wait a second. Are you sure you aren't like them? Never mind. That's not exactly the kind of lazy I'm talking about. Let me explain to you the origin of the 7 deadly sins, and particularly the pattern of the sloth. See, the earliest word that we might find to articulate the sin of sloth or lazy comes from the 4th century Christian contemplative perspective. It comes from a word that is known as acedia, a laziness of the psyche and of the spirit, rather than a tendency to inaction. It's not really about not doing stuff. See, you could have someone who is living in the sin of sloth, aka the error of thought known as sloth, and they might be highly productive. When I invite you to explore how the sloth-like sin lives in you, how the error in thought of sloth lives in you, how the unconscious pattern of the sloth lives in you, I'm asking you to ask yourself, when do I have a laziness of the psyche and of the spirit? In other words, when do I forget my brilliance? When do I forget my divine and holy nature? So just pause, take a breath, and ask yourself, when do you forget your spirit? When do you forget the I am presence that lives within you? When you do that, you are in the sin of the sloth. See, the tendency for the sloth or the lazy one in each of us looks like keeping the peace. We avoid conflict. We seek to maintain a sense of calm through diminishing our awareness of what's going on inside of us. We just sort of tamp down the inner world. We start to look to the outer world to validate and create a sense of safety. That's the sloth-like tendency I'm asking you to look at in you. That's the lazy tendency I'm asking you to look at in you, the one that is self-forgetting. The one that begins to diminish your own needs. See, the sloth within each of us wants to stay comfortable. The sloth within each of us resists change. It's the one in us that wants to do what's easiest. When we've gone unconscious, this is our own pattern of forgetfulness. When you forget the truth of who you are, when you start to go the real easy route, when you start to avoid conflict or disagreement or dissonance, that is the sloth in you, the inaction of the spirit, the one that is indulging its comfort. See, our gifts and strengths are also our fatal flaws and our Achilles heel. Your willingness to be generous in the world, to always be tuned in to the needs and wants of other people is a very noble quality. But if it happens at the expense of yourself, consider that you are in the practice of the 7 deadly sins, specifically in the unconscious pattern of the sloth. So, one of the things you might hear yourself saying, if you're in the sin of the sloth, the error of thought, the forgotten identity, if you will, if you find yourself in this sense of laziness or sloth-like tendencies, you might hear yourself saying some version of, I'm not important. I just don't have that much to offer. You'll likely start to diminish your own value. You'll start to second guess. So when your ego can relax, when the one in you that needs to be braggadocious takes a break, is there another persona, another false belief that comes forward and takes you out by saying things like, I don't really make a difference. I don't think any of this work I'm doing maybe even matters. I don't know, maybe I just don't have much to offer. When you start to notice diminishing your income, when you start to notice diminishing your impact and indulging your sense of disconnection and sort of numbing out, if you're numbing out, consider you may likely be in the unconscious pattern of the sloth. See, going along to get along is the tendency to resign oneself to not getting what you want. When we have had our heart broken, when we do not feel like we are safe, where our world is secure, we will oftentimes reduce our dreams. We will oftentimes diminish our desires. We will oftentimes sort of neglect our needs. And we will become resigned. We will say things like, it doesn't pay to assert myself. I've never gotten what I wanted anyway. I may as well just roll over. Now, it might not be that dramatic for you, but I'm asking you to look for the subtleties. How do you subtly hear that voice in you? Your practice on the planet at this time in the evolution of humanity is to cultivate a sense of self-awareness, the ability to be honest about oneself with oneself. And while we love to tell the truth about ourselves, we love to say all of our brilliant and extraordinary qualities, and I encourage you to keep doing that. If we cannot be honest about the underbelly of our humanity, if we cannot be honest around the personas and the false beliefs that are sort of running our unconscious patterns, then we're really just going to be in a kind of spiritual bypass. We have to be willing to look at both the shadow and the light that exists in you, the conscious and the unconscious patterns. Remember, if you can become comfortable sitting with and understanding and studying your unconscious patterns, you become infinitely more powerful, infinitely more influential, infinitely more capable, because you have developed the capacity to be with all of you, not just some of you. You are made up of this complex, history. You are the history of you. You are the history of your family. You are the history of this nation. You are the history of this world. You are the history of the species, and it is all in your DNA. So there is a sort of a limitless amount of inquiry and awareness that can be cultivated. And that does not have to be tedious. It does not have to be painful, but it does have to be honest. So when you are in the unconscious pattern of the sloth, the tendency can be to go along to get along. I want to give you some antidotes or some practices for when you become self-forgetting, when you become lazy of the spirit, when you become resigned to your own inherent genius and capacity and brilliance. What do? I want you to practice remembering yourself, prioritizing yourself. See, the sloth-like tendency is sort of, we get lost in the world. We start to undermine who and what we are, who and whose we are. So I want you to begin remembering yourself, remembering your divine self, sort of rubbing off or sanding off the old ideas of who you believe yourself to be. Ask yourself what you want. When you move beyond your sloth-like tendencies, your lazy of the spirit tendencies, you become available to the question, what do I want? See, when we can get clear about what we want and what we're here to be, what we're here to contribute, the laziness and the sloth-like tendencies cannot hook us, cannot seduce us, cannot grab us. Now, one of the ways that you might do that is fake it till you make it. You might just fake it. You might just make up things that you want. Remember, the sloth-like pattern is self-forgetting. It gets lost in the world. It gets sort of dampened, tamped down. So what we're wanting to do is invoke a sense of aliveness, invoke a sense of awareness, invoke a sense of capacity. And the way you might have to do that is by just faking it, faking a sense of what do you want? You might ask others in your life to provoke you. Ask me what I want. Make things up that you want. Start by practicing at a restaurant. Start by, you know what, this wasn't exactly what I wanted. Now that sounds obnoxious, but look, if that's where you are, start where you are. Don't settle for marginally aligned things in your life. That is the sloth in you. The one in you that is alive, that has transcended the laziness of the spirit, gets really, really clear on who you are and what you desire and what you're here to contribute. That doesn't have to be saving the world. It doesn't have to be some kind of global change in the traditional sense. But I promise you, if you rise beyond the seduction of sin that is the sloth-like tendency of laziness of the spirit, if you can go beyond your own self-forgettingness, if you can take baby steps toward conflict, that might look like practicing the art of giving and receiving feedback. You know, what we're wanting to do is fan the flame of your aliveness. The 7 deadly sins are the patterns that we have that weigh us down and hold us back, that have us forget our holy and divine nature. They're not going anywhere. They are in the human expression. Our practice is to cultivate the inner witness and to be honest with ourselves about ourselves when we are in the tendency of the sloth, when we are in the tendency of the lazy one. Remember, laziness of the spirit. You could be one of the most active people on the planet, but it could just be you being busy on the planet. What I'm asking you to do is not just be busy on the planet. I'm asking you to connect with the spirit in you, with the holiness in you, and to move from that place that transcends the seduction of sin that is the sloth, the error in thought that is the sloth. Let me tell you a quick story. I went to a baptism recently. It was at a Catholic church. And within moments of my arrival, I started to hear language coming from the pulpit that felt incongruent with what's true for me. It felt oppressive and it felt sort of dampening and deadening. I noticed myself feeling fearful and I noticed myself getting foggy. I noticed myself feeling, sort of like, oh, I just want to check out of here. I just want to get out of here. Now, I have a choice in that moment. I can indulge any one of the sins. And usually for me, I sort of, my pattern is I usually go from lust, one of the 7 deadly sins, to sloth, lust to sloth, lust to sloth, these big, big swings. And when I am in my unconscious pattern of indulging those swings, I am not my most powerful self. So in the moment, I had to recalibrate. In the moment, I had to be like, Lola, right. This does not have to take you out. Lola, right. Can you let this man up there be who he's here to be? Lola, right. Can you trust that every person in this room is getting exactly the message that they're here to get? Lola, right. Can you relax and not feel like either you can save the world or you have to withdraw into the burrow in the ground? See, when I do that, and when you do whatever your unconscious pattern or version of that is, you take yourself out of the game. You take yourself out of the game. So I want you to practice remembering yourself when you've gotten self-forgetting. I want you to ask yourself, what do you want? And I want you to invite the people you love in your life to ask you what you want. I need you to fake it until you make it. Make up things that you want. Get beyond your sort of slovenly pattern of being in this state of resignation. Take baby steps toward conflict. See, the sloth will avoid conflict, discomfort, and dissonance at all cost. And remind yourself that staying comfortable actually does lead to discomfort. Staying comfortable actually does lead to discomfort. See, there's a conservatory not far from my house. It's called the Garfield Park Conservatory in the west side of Chicago. And once a year, they do sort of a big sloth-like installation. There's a sloth, a literal sloth that's there all the time. And once a year, they do sort of a big sloth presentation. And it really does look like, wow, that sloth has got the life. I mean, they move like really, really slow. Doesn't look like they have a care in the world. But imagine, is that really what you're here for? It looks comfortable for a minute, but it really does lead to discomfort. So the antidote to this sin of denial and self-forgetting is to increase your self-awareness, to develop a stronger relationship with your inner world. Assert your wants and needs and act more powerfully on your own. You're not here to be in a state of resignation. You're not here to be self-forgetting. You're not here to indulge your falsehoods. You're not here to diminish or dampen your aliveness. Your responsibility at this time on the planet is to cultivate a sense of self-awareness, to develop the inner witness. You're here to go from being asleep to waking up. You're not here to be the waking sleep. You're here to go from being asleep in your unconscious patterns to noticing and observing your unconscious patterns such that you can shift into a more frequent experience of the high and holy presence that is you. So Up Church, I bow deeply to your willingness to do this underbelly work. We love to stay on the high side of life. But again, the paradox is if you're unwilling to look at the underbelly, you have limited access to the good. The good that you seek, the good that you desire involves a kind of spiritual maturation on your part, the ability to be with all of you, not just some of you. Up Church, I love you. I appreciate you. I bow deeply to your commitment to exploring your unconscious patterns. I am praying for you and supporting you and knowing that you have the capacity to go beyond spiritual bypass, to do the deeper work and to get really honest about yourself with yourself. That is the greatest gift you could ever give to the planet. Many blessings.
If you continue to think what you've always thought, you'll continue to get what you've always got. If you continue to say what you always said, then the dreams you're dreaming are surely dead. If you continue to walk that same old walk and continue to talk that same old talk, then you won't grow, no, 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 in the ways of the Lord. If you continue to feel like you've always failed, you'll never be able to help yourself. If you keep believing what you always believed, then what you've been getting, you continue to receive. If you continue to think that same old way, your life will be the same every day. And you won't grow, no, 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 in the ways of the Lord. You got to change your point of view. Oh, the things you do, you got to dig way down inside of you and let the light of my God shine through. Step by step, day by day, there'll be no more waiting or hesitating. Change your life today, yeah. Well, 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 well. Oh, yeah. If you continue to think what you've always thought, then you continue to get what you've always got. If you continue to say what you always said, then the dreams you're dreaming are surely dead. If you continue to walk that same old walk and continue to talk that same old talk, don't you know that you won't go in the ways of the Lord? That you got to change your point of view. All the things you do, you gotta dig way down inside of you and let the light of my God shine change your life today. All you got to do is change your mind.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday.
All right, family, it is time to support your spiritual center and help us take this message global.
I give in love. I give in love, love, love. All that I have and all I receive will be multiplied. I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow, flow, flow. I'm sending it out and it's coming back in. He supplies my every need.
We have made it so easy for you to support UpChurch. Contributions to our ministry can be made online. You can text UpChurch to 73256, or you can go to upchurch.org and click on the Give button, or you can make your gift via Cash App. Our Cash App ID is $UpChurchLA. Or you can mail in your gift. And remember, we have a new mailing address, 3108 Glendale Boulevard, number 547, Los Angeles, 90039.
I give in love. I give in love, love, love. All that I have and all I receive will be multiplied. I'm in the flow. I'm in the flow, flow, flow. I'm sending it out and it's coming back in. He supplies my every need.
Let's bless the gifts that we have come to share. Would you read along with me? Divine love, through me, blesses and multiplies all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I give in love and I trust God. All right, let's back up that blessing with a declaration. We want to send this seed out with energy, enthusiasm, and expectancy. I am in the flow. I give generously and I receive abundantly. I am a massive giver and a gracious receiver. All right, family, let's have some announcements and then I'll be back to close us out.
Hey, UpChurch, how you doing? This is Dr. DeVar R. Pulley, and I'm giving a shout out to UpChurch, to Reverend Sherri James, to Reverend Sheree Thompson. I am so excited about what's coming up in January of 2022. Yes, the weekend of January the 28th, the 29th, and the 30th. That's Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I'm coming back for our annual leadership weekend. Every year, God blesses us and manifests God's presence in a phenomenal way, and it's not going to be any different. In fact, it's going to be greater this year. So I'm inviting all the leaders. I'm calling all board members, all teachers, all leaders, those interested in being a part of the leadership team of UpChurch to be a part of this leadership weekend. Reserve it on your calendar. That's January the 28th, the 29th, and the 30th of 2022. Be excited because I am.
I want to give a second happy birthday to all of the November babies. I bless your birth month, and I thank God that you were born into this world and that your spiritual path has led you into UPCHURCH. Thank you. Thank you, Reverend Lola. Thank you. Girl. Thank you so much. Thank you. You have lived. What do I want to say? You have helped us know that we are asleep and we can wake up. I hope that you guys make the commitment to wake up. I hope that you make the commitment to walk in the mastery, the authority, and the dominion that your Father, Mother, God has given you over all creation. That there is nothing in your world that is not subject to the power of your thinking and feeling. And there is nothing happening in your world that you can't do something about. And so you don't have to go back to sleep. You can wake up and stay awake. Oh, that was so good. I hope that you will join me after the service so that we can break down this message. Thank you again, Reverend Lola. Let's take our prayer of protection, and then I will see you in the after party. Would you read along with me? The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and so it is. Have an absolutely blessed rest of your day. I hope to see you in the after party, but if not, I bless you until I see you again next Sunday. Take care.